intro's going on right now.
Sure.
I don't know when it's going. Oh, and so the recording works on my side. I think we're good.
Okay.
Right.
Oh yeah. I won't. Do you still want me to record on my side too?
Nah.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's gonna be like this. I in theory, the soundtrack should be coming through on the recording, but so I'm gonna go ahead and just do our first one really quick.
Okay, so you're gonna do the intro with the song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not using this garbage. This garbage right here. We'll save that for the rainy day. Here we go now. DNA's live. Listen, let's come join the ride. Talking about A's boy BJ. I hope he's okay. Okay. I think that'll work.
Alright. I
think that would work. That would work. Hope he's okay. Okay. Oh man. So we're coming back. This is episode, I'd say 1.5. I want to call this a true episode. This is more of a,
sure.
Because we're self-quarantining. We got nothing else to do, but stay home, save some money, invest in other things.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd bring back this episode, or bring another episode up on the Saturday evening for everyone to listen into, something we could post up and bring to the world. We got a really simple agenda today that I'm going to be controlling, and A is going to be kind of working with. We had a little meeting prior to this, talking about some ideas we have for incorporating another passion of ours, being the hardcore dubstep EDM production. I think that's the right way of saying it, right?
I would have added some country and jazz in there too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, damn, it's a tough genre for to explain to people, right? So
it is, yeah.
I think we'll be able to actually showcase it a little bit more next week. I'm hoping next week. I think that's a good goal for us, right? At least to get our little intro thing in.
Sure, I think so.
But I think we made some good cadence or some good moves. All right, so it's about 8:30 my time. I'm hoping we can get through this agenda by 9, just so we can get a quick one in, and I don't have to be staring at YouTube, hoping it completes and uploads. All right. Hey, but how you doing, man? How was the week? I mean, how's your Saturday so far? Everything good?
Everything's good, man. I had to help out a coworker of mine with some paper. Like, it feels like I'm back in school, to be honest, reviewing these papers and not giving grades or anything, just kind of providing constructive criticism, that kind of thing. But
sure.
It always feels good to help people, of course. So I don't mind. It's hard for me to say no.
Good. Well, hopefully he or she gets at least a solid B. At least a solid B.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is for his. It's like some kind of like a master's program.
Okay.
Where you mostly do the class online. I mean, I guess now everybody has to do it online.
Oh, so he's getting an A. He's getting an A. Let's call it.
I think so. I think so. But it's nice. It's nice to basically watch somebody grow. I think I've been helping him for a quarter now for this one particular class, and to watch how he was initially. And kind of read his writing and kind of see his presentation skills blossom over the course of 2-3 months. I thought it was really something to behold. And if I could play a small role in that, just to kind of guide him in the right path, that warms my soul. So I'm happy to see his success. I'm happy that this is his final paper. And after that, he's out the nest. I don't have to babysit him anymore.
You never know, man. You never know. Sometimes it's nice to have to baby people for long terms. But hey, good luck to him. Is he going to be done soon? Or
Yeah. With this class, I think the way his business program works, this is his final assignment for this school quarter, and then it's another class in July. So he has a nice long break and everything, and
sweet.
I think by then he'll be, much better polished and everything, and he'll have a better idea of what to write and what to go with for next time. So I'm not too worried about him. He'll be just fine.
Fantastic. Hey, man. Well, I think that's a good segue, man. I know another boy of yours you were worrying about, your boy Boris Johnson. But yes. I was reading today, man. So I've been trying to read a lot more. It's freaking really hard. I get so sleepy reading. Some of the magazines I get now almost daily. It's rough.
Let's take a pause here. I just want to ask you, What was the last book you read? Last book.
So I'm reading a couple books right now.
Shit.
I read books constantly. It's just reading more. I tend to stray away and not pick history and nonfiction, right? Just because to me that's not entertaining. But I'm trying to make it more entertaining because obviously it's important to understand current events and all things going on that influence our day-to-day activities. But right now I'm reading 5 books, kind of. I have them right here. So number 1 is Mitch Albom's Finding Chica, which is a fantastic book written by the great Mitch Albom. If you haven't read any of his work, I recommend reading Tuesdays with Maury, his bestseller by far.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's fucking it's a life changer. It makes you a bitch inside. It makes you shed a tear. If you don't, then you can go to hell. But it's one of those touchy feely, like, you learn a lot about yourself with the way that Mitch Albom writes, and it's great. And it's Albom.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The next one is Dark Age by Pierce Brown. That is a Red Rising. Used to be a trilogy. Now it's like his 5th book about it. I've invested way too much time into his work. It's great. It talks about, outer space, sci-fi / fiction. I think it's the new, if they could tone it down the right way, the new Hunger Games for a more mature younger adult or young adult. Next one I got up is Leadership, Strategy, and Tactics by Jocko Willink.
You have a book by him too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he has a couple books. He's another podcaster, really great. Navy SEAL, leader of many battles, and obviously very successful with what he does. Like, I'm trying to speak like him right now, but it's kind of hard because my tone does not reach those decibels.
I see the similarity. I see the intent. I got you.
But he's a good guy, and that's one way. That's like a kind of like a business book that I try to read or layer in whenever I can.
Got you.
I have something called The Body by Bill Bryson, nonfiction, but this is more on science and how the human body works in simple men's terms. It's something that I do to keep kind of sharp regarding my science knowledge, even though I don't practice my science at my real work. Then I have something. I have a bunch of cookbooks, so I won't talk about those. And then I have something called The Cigarette that's been waiting at the end. I kind of gave up on it. It's a really tough read by Sarah Milov. And I have Trevor Noah's Born a Crime just waiting for me to crack open. So I'll probably crack that open sometime this week.
Nice. I like it. Wow. So, okay, first of all, let me just say, I am absolutely surprised. I'm absolutely surprised that you read books. That's no knock against you. It's no knock against you at all. But I just never really pegged you as a person to read books, let alone 5 or 6 different books that you've read at different times when you have open. That is insane to me. Yeah. I just have to give you a lot of credit and a ton more respect than I initially gave you for this particular question. I thought your answer would be, nah, man, I don't read. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting, nah, dude. But, wow.
Yeah, man.
Have you always been an avid reader?
Yeah. Even in college, when I knew you, I would always be an avid reader. That's why some of the times where I wouldn't be out and about, I'd be reading. Because, fuck you guys. But, no, I mean, it's just something like that. And that's why I layer in the magazines. Like, I read a magazine called Gastronomica, which isn't really a magazine. It's more of a scientific journal publication that's run by UC Berkeley, talking about food and the science behind food. And of course, as you know, I've been picking up The Economist and Bloomberg Business Week, so I have that sitting right here in front of me that I'm hoping to crack tomorrow. Food and Wine, what is it, Savoir, Bon Appetit, Forbes, Inc. Like, I have a ton of shit coming my way. It's a lot to digest, and I just hope that 10% of it actually sticks. But that's my approach in life, kind of shotgun approach. See what works.
Wow, man, like I'm almost speechless right now because I really didn't know you're so well read. Like, this is blowing my mind. Like, audience, I know a little bit about Don, but clearly I only know the iceberg. This is like the tip of the iceberg. Don is such a more colorful character than I initially envisioned. He reads books and magazines, and they're not just stupid magazines. They're really good magazines, like The Economist, Bon Appetit. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, man.
Like,
and it's I think so. This is something that maybe you could probably talk to me about. I don't know the right amount of time, or rather the right split in your time that you should dedicate to self-care and growth, such as through reading, studying, working out, whatnot, and that of, I guess, socializing. Spending time with your loved ones being one, which is always there, but of course that has to take more priority, but how much? And then that of your actual social life beyond blood. I mean, it's not a perfect, third. Like, what is your ratio, I guess? I think that's a good thing to talk about. I see. Let's go Arjun's ratio. And we're going to talk self-care / growth, family.
Okay.
And then
let's put all the categories down first.
Friends?
So the thing is, I noticed you didn't put work in any of them.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. Let's go ahead and put it in there.
Okay. So I think for me, every day it's different. Obviously, you're married and, you live with your significant other, so your balance is going to be a little bit different. For me, I think work is probably, let's say on a Monday through Friday, it's probably going to be at least like a 60 to, let's say, 70%, which is kind of heavy. And then on certain days, let's say, like when I do the podcast with you, I would have to say I combine that as both self-care, growth, and family, because I feel like every time we do a podcast, it is something that helps me kind of look at the world differently, thanks to your take on things, thanks to your feedback. So I look at it as both, friends and a self-care type of thing. So we'll say like a 30% there and a 30% there. None of this adds to 100, but that's the type of math that I like to do. just way over.
Got it.
And then say like other weekends, like, lately because of this COVID-19, making sure the family's good. I have been spending more time in Torrance on the weekends, and we can say family there, let's say about like 40% there. Self-care, I do have to try to do some things, so let's say we'll go with like 30% on the weekends. As weekends is really when the self-care is more important. Friends, like nowadays, it's really just through like Skype or through like Messenger, like chatting with different people. Hard to really meet up with people outside of work nowadays. So let's say that's like, what is it, like 30% right here. Sure. And weekends, of course, like I try not to do work, but sometimes there is like a little bit, and we can put like a little bit of a 10 to 15, let's say 15%, let's put that over there. Nothing adds to 100 in my books. But now for me though, like it's always fluctuating depending on the day, and it's hard for me to have like a set schedule in mind, because
Sure.
I would prefer to have like a routine, but I think because of like the nature of my work, like sometimes some days are a lot busier than others, so I just kind of put other things off to the side and just focus on the task at hand. But
hey,
that's
man.
bad. Like, yeah. Go ahead.
I gotta say, I just normalized your results. This is normalized now. Basically, what you do is during the week, work is your family. Like this is the shift. Like you see it, 2% is nothing. That's like an extra text or two a day. Oh no, but sorry. Go ahead. Keep explaining.
Oh no, I mean the numbers don't lie. I mean it's quite embarrassing probably already. But
No,
I like what you did here.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, I guess aside from the percentages, I think it's easier for me to give you my advice to you as far as like what's ideal for self-care and whatnot. I think it's important to at least make a little bit of time every day if possible, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a full-on workout. It doesn't have to be like a full-on hour to read your books and magazines that are stacking up. It doesn't have to be an hour to do whatever. It can at least be like, let's say, 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day where it's really you time, right? It's
Sure.
really a time where you can focus on something that you care about, that makes your soul feel good. And it might be a quick workout. It might be
Sure.
reading a book that you're dying to get into, or you're dying to find out what happens next to the cigarette. Does it get smoked, or does it get tossed to the garbage can? You don't know.
Sure. Sure.
You
Sure.
want to
Sure.
know what Sarah Miller, the real Dilla, is gonna talk about in that book. Obviously, I don't know her full name, but I just butchered that. But I think I think for you though, to be honest, I think you do a lot more variety of things, and you are used to that probably since early life.
Sure.
Even in college, when you do like 20, 30 units a quarter, and working at the same time, and like looking after random kids who are begging for socializing time with the D.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you juggle everything? I think you're so used to having so many different things on your plate that even to this day you prefer that balance, right? You prefer that kind of a myriad of opportunities and juggling things every day, trying to find the perfect balance, tinkering. Maybe you can speak on how you like find time for everything.
Yeah, definitely. I don't. It's one of those. It's one of those like first come first serve sort of notions.
Oh, okay.
Because I agree with you. Work is important as it should be, and I think as long as people are actually pursuing a career that is actually meaningful to them and to the world in general, like there's progress being made for the things that you do. That's a good allocation of your time. So I think you and I are both in that space where our work is meaningful beyond us.
Mm.
Right? It's actually it'll we aren't going to create something that'll be immediately life changing and bring on dividends upon dividends to everybody that uses the product. Maybe you, I don't know. I don't really know what you do, to be honest, or what products you're into. But
Mm.
so, I mean, the work we do allows us to not feel guilty about devoting so much of our time to it. I think it helps, and I think we're both from an Asian background that kind of sets the expectation of generating a respectable income to care for those around us. And luckily
Sure.
enough, we're both able to, kill two birds with one stone, find something that's somewhat meaningful with what we do with our time,
Mm.
while providing or generating a strong income. I mean, luckily enough, both you and I haven't been hit by any furloughs or big swings due to the whole COVID thing going on. So,
Well, knock on wood, it stays that way, man. It's kind of early in the
hey
year.
man, well you work internationally, man. My thing is all about taking care of people here locally, so that's on you. That was a poor choice. That was a poor choice in company on your end. All right.
My bad. I didn't know that the supply chain would be impacted this much.
It's
That's on
me.
me. That's my fault. um, but I just have to say, I have a question actually about your
Sure.
book. So, when do you read? Like, do you read? I know you mentioned it already, but do you like to read in the morning, at nighttime? Like, when's your style? Like, when do you like to do it?
So lately, another thing that I added into what I read is I got a subscription to the LA Times where they deliver daily. I got the daily delivery service. I try to devote the morning to that, and I also try to read Economist or Bloomberg if I haven't finished it already in the mornings. So that could bleed into Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on how much I've gotten through or what I've been
Mm.
doing. I like to keep the nonfiction in the beginning to make influence decisions in the afternoon for all that I do.
Mm.
Then in the late afternoons, kind of the afternoons are when I have my strongest, I guess, productive hours at work. where I can generate, all the reports necessary, run all the queues that I have set up, and the analyses, and reach out to the people that need to be reached out. Because also in the morning, I tend to have my meetings for work, so I'm able to layer in these readings that I have, because I'm kind of the guy that basically plays devil's advocate for a lot of what I do for work, and asks the questions like, you gotta ask why more than once to really figure out the details of why we're doing things. But yeah, no, morning nonfiction, afternoon nothing, it's work. Evening is when I kind of dabble with the hard books, those like that we mentioned and started off with earlier.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And then that with like the food magazines and stuff like that.
Dude, I gotta say, like, I from my just hearing of this conversation, it sounds like reading is very critical part of your life. Like, it's essential part of your life.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I don't read anything in the morning other than, let's say, a quick article or two on my phone.
Yeah.
And the fact that you read a physical newspaper is so cool to me. Like, I don't know anybody who does that anymore.
I mean, because you also have to understand, for me, it's first generation, right? Or second generation, depending on how you look at it. My parents came here from the Philippines and then had me. I'm the only one that's born in my immediate family here. So, growing up, I didn't have parents that really spoke great English. So I took it on myself to figure out a way, and thank God for my dad, who would buy me all the books that I had to ask for, so long as it was like not Goosebumps or some shit like that. Growing up, I had a father that really prioritized learning the English language, and I think reading the books has just stuck with me as a way of kind of sharpening that stone. And I am far from being eloquent, especially when I compare myself to you. But I know at least the ideas and the concepts I could at least hold my own on when I really want to get serious about it,
No doubt. And let me just say, like, I don't think reading helped me become better at vocabulary.
Sure.
I wouldn't say that. I think
it was the hardcore EDM, country, and jazz, right?
That's right. Just the dubstepping. The dubstepping did it for me. But for me, I mean, everybody learns differently. But I think what really helped me was a combination of things, including watching a ton of TV. A ton of TV.
South Park?
I don't know. Partly. Just so much TV growing up, and also, I guess I really like different cultures too. Like, I was always into, like Japanese culture, whether it's like the anime, the food, whatever it might be.
Dude, hey, you watch anime?
I used to watch anime. I feel like a lot of things that I reveal, I always have to follow up with that I used to, and then you get disappointed.
I get so disappointed, man. Hey, yo, you gotta watch some anime. I'm gonna share it with you after this. Once we stop recording.
Okay. But yeah, I used to even, I was telling my friend this, but I used to even draw anime.
Oh my god, dude, you're such a nerd.
I have no qualms about saying that. I was such a nerd. Not only did I draw it, I used to make the mangas. I used to make my own mangas and distribute them to my friends in elementary school and middle school, and even like teach some of my friends how to draw the faces, with the eyes.
Yeah, with like triangle nose with missing a.
Yeah, you know, man. I had to do it. And so that was my thing back in the day. But even beyond that, like, I remember I had, different like Korean friends too, and they would get me into K-pop and some K-dramas. Yeah. So I would watch them with subtitles on. That was like a lot of middle school, some high school as well. And I remember during high school, I'd be into reggaeton, Puerto Rican hip hop, and this helped me learn more Spanish, even though it was slang Spanish.
Sure.
It got me better at like Spanish 3 honors, Spanish 4 AP, and help me just kind of have fun with the language, have fun with what I was learning. And I think that the combination of cultures helped my speaking ability overall, because I felt like I could pull from different resources. It's not like I'm always thinking linearly in terms of like English, I was thinking, oh, like, maybe in this culture they do this, and so I can talk about a new concept, or I can talk about a different style. Like, there's so many different, I guess, if not experiences, just pools of information I can pull from and speak and connect all those ideas together and formulate coherent thoughts that make sense not only for one type of audience but for multiple groups of people. So I guess I would kind of credit my articulation, my eloquence, my elocution, for that matter.
Explorative elocution.
My explorative nature. I would credit my explorative nature. Go ahead, look it up, kids. That's a new word coming out in 2021 Webster's Dictionary. It'll be there. It'll be there. I credit all that to combination of just watching so many different TV shows and just kind of like conversing with people from all different backgrounds and kind of immersing myself in cultures of the world.
Cool. All for it.
Yeah,
man.
for sure. Okay, I see you got some articles now to kind of go.
You know what? I say we just keep this about us for this 1.5 episode.
Sure.
No,
sure.
seriously, because we're about 30 minutes in.
We are. We're almost
man.
at
And it's
time.
great. And I think it's something that we need to do for the, to kind of, once we have the millions upon millions of listeners, say, oh yeah, well, tell us more about you, and be like, fucking watch episode 1.5, dude. Come on, we don't have time for that shit.
Sure, sure. Let's give it up. So, tell me this then. In terms of books, have you ever wanted to write your own?
I did. I actually wanted to write fiction. Because I had the brilliant idea that I could write fiction and then turn it into, like, have other monetary outputs that can be used with that as the template. Like movies or TV shows or whatever, what have you. And then when I realized, hey, I'm doing this for the money and not the passion, I was like, I stopped. Right, because that's the wrong reason to be doing things, I think.
Sure.
But I did do that stuff, and something that I want to get into more is blogging, more so than writing books, because I think, given my attention span and given the attention span of, I guess, people today, getting that short 2-minute read in to explain something that you could easily spend 30 minutes explaining or watch a documentary on is the way to go about doing things. But I think that's something we could layer in with this podcast eventually and address. But not right now. We don't have the time and resources to do that.
By the way, I just want to say, I think that is a great idea. Maybe what we can work on at a later time is breaking down complicated current events or even things in the world into like a 2-minute brief, right?
And then we could spend the podcast talking about why it takes 30 minutes to actually, or to an hour to actually explain something, and why we disagree on many things, and multiple sides of the same coin.
Definitely. The possibilities are endless for the DNA.
ACTG, dude. It's a very finite amount of code you could have in there.
Hey, but there's mutations all the time.
But it's still ACTG. Still the same two people you're gonna get, just different iterations week after week.
That's true. But hopefully the iterations are entertaining enough to keep the audience.
Oh yeah, man. Boris, Doris, Lori's chorus, Oopsie Daisy, Lazy Baby. I think you're gonna have to run that back next week.
I might have to delete that. How about that? I might have to start over on that one.
Oh man.
So,
hey, I noticed this really quick, that you were saying the books that you read. Only 2? I thought I influenced you a little bit better than that.
Well, first of all, you can't influence me on books when I just found out today that you read. Like that doesn't work that way.
Hey man, it's like an anime. You got stuff. I got stuff. Like secret cards up my shoulder. That's why I'm a little more eloquent when it comes to things outside of current politics, and I'm trying to catch myself up to current politics. Stuff like that.
It is interesting, though. I will say that I noticed that for things that, let's say, you aren't an expert on, or not really an expert, but for things that you aren't fully comfortable in, you tend to not delve into. You tend to kind of I guess reserve for future conversation. You tend to kind of say, you know what, let me do my research, let me kind of get
Mm-hmm.
into it, and we'll get back into it. But I think that's a very, very respectable way to. Because I'm the opposite. I like to jump into topics that I have no information about because I like to figure it out as I ask questions and go along.
Sure.
Of course, it pretty much reveals my ignorance. It
No, no,
reveals how
no, no,
little I
no.
know.
See, this is where we're different, dude. Because you're comfortable in swimming in your ignorance. I am.
That's such a bad thing. It's a
No,
diss.
no, no,
That's a
no, no,
diss
no,
right
no, no.
there.
Because as someone that is completely on the opposite side of things, I hate exposing my ignorance. I hate not knowing something because I feel that it makes me look weak. It makes me look dumb. And the fact that you're able to admit that, hey, I'm not the smartest in this particular subject, please teach me, that's something I can't do. Or I want to do it, but I find it hard for me to do.
But Don, would you say you have a very inquisitive nature?
Yeah, definitely. But I won't admit
So
it. Or I won't expose it to the world. If it's like a one-on-one conversation, by all means. Like, I don't fucking know
ah,
what the hell you're talking about. Tell me more. But like, if you put me like in front of, I think I was like, dude, I think this is part of my Catholic private school upbringing where I probably got shunned for asking a dumb question or a stupid
oh,
question, and it's just ingrained in me. Like, I can't admit that I don't know something. I will bullshit my way through it if I have to.
mm,
But I don't like asking questions unless I'm comfortable with the source that by which I'm asking towards. Right.
interesting. I
So.
was like that in school, especially in high school and undergrad. I didn't always feel comfortable exposing my lack of knowledge about
Mhm.
a academic subject, especially in like a large lecture hall. Like I didn't want to be that guy asking
Yeah, that
questions.
fucker that kept us there like an extra 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I would be more comfortable asking, let's say, in a discussion section,
Sure.
because which is like 20, 25 people, or
Yeah.
even like going up to the professor later on, or going up to the TA later on, asking him privately, because I get it. Like it's embarrassing to kind of expose yourself, because you are exposing yourself when you're asking a question, because it shows that you don't have the knowledge. But at the same time, I think later on, especially when I started working, I realized that you have to always learn. You
Yeah.
have to always
Yeah.
adapt,
Yeah.
especially in my field when there's so much technical knowledge to be gained. Um, People can't really expect you to know everything, and you can't expect yourself to know everything.
Yeah.
So you may stumble. I stumble all the time. I know certain things. I think I know certain things, and then I defend myself, and I realize in a meeting, oh, somebody calls me out on something because I made this one mistake.
Oops.
Oh, okay. You know what? I didn't see it that way. I see you carried the one there when I didn't carry the one at all. I didn't do any carrying. I was doing division when you did addition. Though that was a disconnect. Okay, now let me go back to the drawing board and
Hmm.
sit down again. But no, I understand. I think
Yeah, and I think,
it's a
dude, and
good
I think
balance.
that's why I read so many books. It's to kind of fill in all the holes that I know are evident, at least to
Mm,
me, so that I am best prepared to, I don't know, tackle any situation.
Tell
Because
me
if
this, Ron.
go ahead.
Tell me this. In this stage of your life, do you find yourself doing more teaching or doing more learning?
Depends on who you're talking or like who I'm with.
Mm,
With a
okay.
family, for example,
Yes.
more teaching.
Okay.
So I'm at
Okay.
that part of my life where my parents' generation has entered the older grandparent generation.
Sure.
So I'm, right there at that kind of prime generation for the family dynamic, at least for the, Asian family.
Sure.
So I'm helping them out with certain things like technology, for sure. I'm sure you even know that. Food,
Yeah.
even like food, proper communication techniques, and just basic information and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, Same thing with my work for Bunso. I'm doing more of the teaching. I'm learning for sure, but when it comes to employees, i.e.,
Hmm.
my wife or
Yeah.
friends that come to help, more teaching than actually learning. But at the same time,
Ah.
you could say I'm learning how to lead, right?
Mm.
Um, But yeah, now if we talk about normal work, I'm doing more learning. I started off doing a little bit of teaching for those that are under me, but now that I've taught them, I'm kind of just learning more because we recently went through an acquisition, so I'm learning their ways. And I'm also, well, it's like 50-50 because I'm teaching them LA's ways while learning Orange County ways. So it's kind of weird, but we could go about that in a different way.
Wow.
So I think, dude, at this stage of my life, half and half. But that's because I'm forcing myself to learn things.
I kind of get the feeling that, you know, I see you. I've always seen you actually this way, but I see you as a leader, a natural leader, a leader of men.
Oh yeah, dude, my troops would die so quick. I'd be like, yeah, hey yo, just, you know what? You see that bump over there? One of you guys go step on it really quick. Tell me if that's like a mole or. Yeah. Boom, like. All right, lesson learned, everyone. Lesson learned. All right, if you see a bump, don't step on it. Like, you know, I'd be leading that way. But no, go ahead.
That's probably why the survivors of Banana Land didn't last too long. That's probably why. But Bugman D prevails. Bugman D is still alive and well. I think it's interesting because there are situations where we're forced to learn, right? We're forced to basically either change our ways or just learn more information to kind of better handle our day-to-day. But I think if push came to shove, I think you would prefer to do more teaching instead of having it be 50-50. I think you'd want to be a leader on a more full-time basis, delegate and basically share what you know, share your experiences to motivate others.
No, I would statement? Not. No, that
really?
is the opposite of what I want to do. I want to keep learning.
You want to keep learning. I like that.
I don't want to be a teacher. I mean, like, I get sharing knowledge and sharing techniques and all that is great, but I think learners are the best suited for any situation because they can admit they don't know everything and they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that they learn it. And I think leaders have quote-unquote mastered something, but things change daily, and the learners are the ones that can adapt to the change better than those that teach.
You know, I think too often we treat these concepts as mutually exclusive when they're actually not.
They're not.
I think,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best teachers are also the best learners.
Definitely.
It's kind of like the best leaders are also really good followers because at some point you have to observe, you have to watch, you have to analyze, you have to take a step back and see how effective leaders do it and then try to, you know, carry on some of the same principles and, you know, values in your way. I'm sure Jocko talks about some of these concepts. I'm sure, you know, the other books you read cover, you know, what it means to lead in modern society, what it means to lead a group of people, the psychology behind it, the motivational factors.
And you wouldn't even imagine. What do you think it takes for a leader right now? Like, in one sentence, what is the best attribute a leader can have?
I would say, honestly, effective communication is key. I think understanding how to get your message across to the right group of people so they truly understand your intentions.
Got it.
I think that's impressive.
So that's definitely up there in the top 5 of qualities.
Okay.
The number one quality, at least from all that I've been hearing, is the ability to follow.
Ah, okay.
Weird, right? So basically you want a leader that's not a leader.
Well, again, I'm sure.
And there's a lot that gets baked into it. That's for sure.
Right.
Oh, man.
But that's cool, man. You know, it's funny. Around this time of our lives, like, you're not the only one. I know a ton of people that have been reading books about leadership, strategy, books about, you know, self-help, self-guiding, all this stuff. And before I used to think, what's the big deal? Like, why do you guys need books about this? I'll tell you what to do. I'll give you some tips. I'll give you some. Just sit down over here.
I got you.
Buy me a drink, and I'll spit some game for like 30 minutes. I'll teach you what to do. But then I realized, all right, there's actually a lot you can learn. There's a lot you can actually improve upon, and it's interesting to see how people who've already made it, effective leaders, think. What common goals, what common habits that they have that kind of keep them above the fray and keep them motivated. So I'm glad that you're exploring this side of the universe. I think it's really cool, Don.
Hey man, well that's something that before you made this episode about it, I didn't even think too much about it. All the things that I do.
My bad.
No.
Just like I was criticizing the Kanye West quote from the other day, I hijacked your episode. I'm so sorry.
No, you didn't hijack anything. This was, again, a little 30 minutes prior that I had going on. So it's not a big deal. Dude, hey, but, something that I haven't heard you... Well, alright, I got a question for you. At work... Do you want to lead at work? Do you want to lead a team, eventually reach that director and executive director sort of role?
That's a good question. People have asked me that before. I think...
And like, what's your current rank, more or less? Okay, then you don't have to give away your title or anything. Just kind of simplify it for people.
Well... So my group is a small group, and we work on a lot of sustaining products, like legacy products. And so our leader of the group has been around for like 30 years in this industry. And I'm one of the newest employees in the group, but I've been at the company for probably like 4 years now. And, my voice is respected just like everybody else's, but because certain people in the group are there for like 15, 20 years, and not just the tenure, their expertise in let's say what they do is so much higher than the expertise in what I do. There's always a greater gravity, there's a greater weight to what they say and their opinion on topics and their particular guidance than what my guidance would be. But let me just say this, I think at the end of the day, I would want to do a good job if I was a leader. If I was in a position of power like that, let's say director or some kind of a mid-level manager, I would want to make sure that I'm competent and I'm doing it the right way for both the people under me and also the company, like the people over me. And I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I have either the technical skills to really step in and solve the complicated problems of the world, or the proper, like the let's say the polished leadership skills and communication skills to really guide a group of people in the best way possible, at least better than anybody else in my group already. Does that make sense? Like the people who are already in place, I can learn from them. I have so much to really, like sponge, like absorb from them to make me better. So,
you know what I hear?
Yeah.
I hear bitch. That's what I hear. I hear, no, you gotta grab that shit by the horns and fucking take it. No, I totally get you. I'm the same way. But I'm more lazy, and I don't want to lead. At work. It's way too much. It's way too much responsibility, dude. And I totally agree with you, and it's a very noble thing for you to do. And I think you're very humble that you're taking that sort of approach to things, because I'm sure you know a hell of a lot more than you're admitting to right now, and I'm sure you have a hell of a lot more qualities to your leadership that you're not even paying homage to and explaining that makes you qualified to lead. So once you get past that and stop being a little bitch about it, it might be time.
I'll tell you this much, man. I think there are cases when, and you can probably relate to, when you feel like you can probably do a particular assignment in a different way, maybe your way, which might be a little bit better, maybe a little bit more effective, and it may make more sense to you than the way that's been kind of tasked to you, like put down to you. But because of the hierarchy in place because of, just the precedent. You kind of have to follow the chain of command a little bit.
Yep.
I'm sure we all have moments like that we can relate to where we say, you know what, we could probably do it our way. It might turn out better, or maybe our way just sounds smarter.
Yep.
But, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you may get that opportunity and you figure out, oh, you actually messed up. You overlooked something.
Yep.
You overlooked the details. So, it's an ebb and flow. There are moments when you think like, oh wow, you're really killing it today. Like you're knocking it out. Other moments, not so much. You take a step back maybe, and you kind of lick your wounds, and you go back to the fighting pits the next day. You go back and defend yourself the next day.
Yeah, man. Hey, give me 1 minute really quick. I need to take a piss. I've about 30 ounces into a beer.
Oh gosh. Okay, I will entertain the audience. Go ahead.
I'll be back.
So again, I'm sorry that I took away Don's spotlight here. He did not intend to make this a conversation about the books he reads, the magazines, the newspaper articles, ratios of self-care, growth, family, friends, work, all these things. This turned into more of a introspective self-reflection hour than what he intended. But regarding the topic that he touched on earlier today, Boris Johnson's health, I will say he's in a better place now than he was before. I don't mean that he went off to heaven. I'm just saying that before he was in the ICU for I think a couple of days, but now he's back into the general ward, and he's not on a ventilator. And my understanding was he never was on a ventilator. He may still be getting some oxygen to help him out, but it seems like he's slowly but surely making progress. He's been able to get up out of his bed and go for short walks. But that in and of itself is kind of like a double-edged sword, because he was in a really bad spot to call it an achievement to be able to go on short walks. This guy, I mean, in case you guys don't know, he's kind of a high energy guy who's always talking, always walking around, doing this, doing that, never tiring. And for him to go into a physical, mental state where he's completely drained because of this COVID-19, and now he's kind of slowly but surely recuperating, probably over the course of a few weeks, it goes to show you how crippling this disease can be, how crippling COVID-19 can be. And no one's immune, man. Like that's the thing. I know a lot of us when we were
it feels glorious.
So Don is back now.
Don, my god, I feel like $200 now, man. What'd I miss?
$200.
Yo, dude, hey, I should probably mention the beer that I'm drinking, dude.
Yeah.
I'm drinking so as you know, a lot of breweries are closed. So what they do is a lot of takeout. I'm a member at this place called The Brewery over in Placentia. It's kind of near your head. And I picked up a Crowler, 32 ounces of something called boysenberry pie. And it's a stout.
That sounds good.
It's delicious. And it's coming in at 10.2%.
Okay.
So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm about 90% through it.
Wow.
And I feel like
so Don, do you drink every day or just when we?
Oh yeah. No, I try to do it religiously. It's
okay.
No, and the way I see it is I took classics at UC Irvine. And do you know the god of debauchery, basically?
I used to. I took that same class. I used to, but I forgot. Does it start with a D?
Yeah, it's like Dionysus or something like that.
Yeah.
Dionysus, ancient Greek god, winemaking. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, this motherfucker was like his parent was Zeus.
Damn, son.
And I was like, yo, dude, like, how fucked up were the Greeks where, like, the second in line was the god of, like, drunkards? Yeah. And I learned this shit in college. And, I took classics because it was basically an easy A, a little GPA booster. So I took all 3/4 of it. That shit was amazing.
Nice.
Drinking, to me, so long as you're doing it responsibly, where you're not putting anybody else in danger, such as drinking and driving, is It's all good. I think including alcohol as a depressant allows me to open up a little bit more to thoughts that I would normally filter out and to comments I would normally filter out. So it's weird how it works for me. But I mean, that's how a lot of people get into trouble. So look it. I think it's something you should get into a little bit more. I'll start introducing you to good beer.
I think it'll be interesting. Like once we start doing this live and we
Hell yeah.
I think I think beer may be something that I have to get into
with
your help, because
of course
I've had different beer before. Like, of course, like from time to time, whenever I go out with friends or coworkers,
sure.
I have beer, but like I never really like it. I'll be perfectly honest.
Well, what don't you like about it? And by the way, am I intruding on something that you had running? Because I just came back from peeing and I feel like I took over already.
Oh no, I was just I was boring the audience about Boris Johnson and his health.
Oh my god, yeah, we'll find a way to edit this out, people. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. I'll say. Oh, excuse me. COVID-19. Yeah, a little bit. Let me take a sip. Let me take a sip of my 20 ounce of Contigo clear blue water. Okay. I will say, what do I not like about beer? Well, it's not. I think initially I just found it to be just kind of boring to me. Like it was.
Sure.
It's a large quantity of something that doesn't really taste good, and I don't really feel anything from it, at least after one. And I would rather just drink something else that's more potent. Or sometimes, like, I'll tell you this much, the beers that I do remember that I thought, they were okay, they were kind of interesting, were these like coffee flavored or dark chocolate flavored stouts.
Yep.
Like I was like, wow, this actually tastes good. It's
sure.
Like someone mixed coffee or someone mixed
sure.
chocolate.
Oh, I know the perfect place then. The place I just mentioned earlier, the brewery. If you like stouts, I'll take you to a place that makes really good stouts, and you better Uber, or.
Right? Are you gonna Uber too? Are we all gonna Uber?
Maybe, man. Okay. Or I'll just have bottles and I can crack them open for us to share. But then once you open a bottle, you're gonna have to finish the bottle. So.
Oh, for sure.
We'll have guest room for you.
I guess what someone told me a long time ago that if you start with the darks and go lighter over time, you'll be able to appreciate the light beer more, because like the bitterness from the darks is more tolerable if you're more used to it. Is that kind of true?
I think that's all just whatever. I think it's just with all things in life, it's one of those, the more and more you get into a particular subject, the more and more you appreciate the wide array that subject has to offer.
Sure.
So I think that's more of it. You just need that one hook that introduces you and gets you stuck into that subgenre of beverage, in this case, beer, that makes you say, oh, well, I like stouts. Maybe I should try something, a little bit different. Like, what makes an imperial stout? What makes a Grand Cru? Well, I like darks. Maybe I'm only getting a little tired. Let's go into some, like, brown ales. And then you start going down the spectrum and figuring out, oh, okay, this is why people like this.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. It's a matter of just taking the time to explore it. I've dabbled in wines before.
Dude, I tried. That shit's hard.
It's expensive.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, that's one of my worst. So I'm able to usually like drink a beer and then be able to drive home, right? Because it's just one beer. But in Napa, and by the way, I'm not condoning that. Don't do it. This was yesterday's dawn, not today.
I like how yesterday's dawn comprises like almost 3 decades of dawn. That's pretty funny.
Dude, wine hits differently. I just can't. I don't know why. Maybe it's just all bitched on mentality, but
yeah,
I feel like I just can't handle wine. It's fucking juice. It's what it is. It's juice. It's devil's juice.
It's the devil's juice. That's true. I mean, I think it depends on a couple different things, like the alcoholic content, of course, but also what you ate that day. maybe when you went to Napa, you didn't have too many carbs in you.
Oh, probably
Maybe
not.
no, not a problem. You definitely
Probably
had
not.
carbs.
No. I'm saying probably not. Probably not.
Oh, probably. Okay, I got you. I don't know. To be honest, I think it's all about tolerance that you built up. You don't drink wines too often, so obviously maybe it does hit different. Beers, you're such a pro at, you can really control yourself. You know, it takes you at least two to feel anything, right?
Yeah. Like right now, I'm going through this 32 ounces, so I'm at a really good level.
Okay.
And usually it's like I could tell by the amount that I have to pee. I listen to my body in that sense.
Okay.
If
That's
I
good.
no, like
You
if I'm
should. You
peeing, if I'm
should.
peeing like every 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, all right, I have way too much. Slow it down. If I don't have to pee after an hour, then I know
Yeah.
like my body is processed it all at that point.
But that's kind of insane to me. Like you just said 32 ounce. Like I'm looking at my Contigo water container here.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
24 ounce.
yeah. No,
24 ounce is quite a lot.
32
Like
is like
you're
it's like a mini football. Like, think about
Jesus
it.
Christ, dog. Like that's a lot of liquor,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Golly.
Yeah, man. Hey, I don't fuck
Golly.
around, dude. Go big or go home.
Clearly.
All right.
You
Damn.
don't bitch. That's for
No,
true.
dude.
That's for true.
That's why it's great, dude. This is some good stuff.
Mm, mm. I got you. This one was from the brewery. I got you.
Yeah.
And it
So
seems
if
like you're
we
picking up. Yeah.
yeah, if we end up going to that event that I was telling you about, it's by the
Oh yeah.
brewery.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think you'd enjoy it. But the thing is, I think LA's quarantine effect is through May 15th now.
Oh.
Yeah, it got extended. So I'm trying to think of what's going to happen. But I'll keep you posted, man. I'll keep you posted.
I've been hearing that some of this quarantining may go on into the summer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes through next year. Honestly.
No, no, come
Yeah,
on.
dude. No.
Dude.
Quarantining in the sense of, yes, go back to work or whatever, but don't do gatherings. Don't do big events. Because at least at work, the contact tracing is a lot easier to do. If you go to like a concert, such as, I won't call out names. If you go to big concerts,
Call out names. Call out names.
no, just big concerts with more than 1,000 people in attendance.
Okay.
It takes one person to basically spread the virus to all 1,000 people at like EDM events, at big desert events that happen over the period of one weekend.
Yes. Sometimes 2 weekends.
Yeah. So can you imagine one person? It just takes one person, and the thousands upon thousands of people that go there. I think the quarantining on that sense is gonna stop. At work and stuff, you could at least trace it back to the origin and control where it goes and where it came from. At those kinds of events, it's not gonna happen.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is the work from home mandate may not be in
Mm-hmm.
effect for the rest of the year. Probably by June, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'd say June, July, even August if you want to be really
Oh, damn, that's too
pushing.
long though.
No,
That's
dude.
really
No,
long,
man. No, man. See, I mean, it's ambitious to aim for June. Because last thing you want as a company is to be the first one that comes back in full force.
Uh-huh.
And then, oh shit, I hit the news the following week. Everyone's sick. I mean, that's not good PR, dude.
In an ideal world, and somebody was telling me about this the other day, but I heard there may be some kind of a antibody test that checks to see if you're immune or not.
I read it
And
today in the LA Times. The antibody tests that are coming from China, all the
yeah,
countries are basically trying to return them because they're not accurate. They're
oh
fucking
wow.
botched. It's fake. It doesn't work.
I thought we were making new ones locally. Is that not true?
I mean, it may be true, but the ones that we're receiving from China are not, and I'm assuming those are the majority of them because A, we're cheap as fuck when it comes to anything in this country. So we're gonna get the highest, or rather, the lowest price per unit that we can, especially given these sort of emergency times where companies don't want to be spending money that they don't have to be spending money in. Even in healthcare, right? I work in healthcare, so I can speak to it. We're not going to spend money unless it's COVID related right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to get your best bang for your buck. Where do you get the best bang for your buck? in scaling the process and buying in bulk. Because we can't produce that much here locally, we can't sell in bulk, thus we cannot buy in bulk. But who has a process of selling things in bulk and shipping it over? It's China. So I'm not surprised if many healthcare companies buy from China their equipment. Nor am I surprised if there's third-party vendors that are supplying themselves through China and just rebranding it to be their own.
Yeah, and I bought some of that off eBay actually. And, it still hasn't come in yet. It still hasn't come in yet.
Yeah,
I need to follow up on my eBay order, but I'll say, I mean, also another thing though, if you look at it from another perspective, it hit China first, obviously, and so I think China probably has a responsibility here to help other countries. And it's unfortunate that these tests have been botched. These tests don't work, but in terms of supplying PPE, in terms of supplying any kind of medical effort, whether it's research findings for the disease or any kind of treatments that they found were effective, the results, sharing that information, I think it's on China to do that, to just mitigate the disaster as much as possible, because they're going to be the ones that are okay first, right? Like, they're already healing up in Wuhan, they're already reopening things over there, and so we're dealing with it now hard, right? Like, we're at the peak right now. So I still expect China to keep providing equipment, maybe personnel, maybe just treatments and whatnot. I hope that they're all not botched. I hope that some of them.
Oh, no. And I mean, like, they're not all botched. But I'm saying, of course, no company, if they see that one of the tests is botched, of course they're going to question the whole batch.
Of course.
Right, so you have to throw it all out. But I don't really agree with you in that China should assume responsibility for it.
Well, I think it's a slightly different thing that I said. I think China should assume responsibility to help.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Then by all means. Okay, I agree with that. Sure. Hey, by the way, you should read up on this. We'll probably touch it next week when we talk Taiwan and their approach and their fight with the WHO, the World Health Organization. And their take with China. I think you'll take that interesting, or that subject interesting for Wednesday, because Taiwan is doing the right thing in my opinion, but there are some bigger players that are kind of dictating the story a little bit differently.
Hey, Since this does involve Taiwan, do you think this would be something that your wife Kelly would be interested in?
No. She's gonna curse too much. She's gonna just talk shit. No. We're not gonna do that. No. I got a reputation to protect here, man.
It's a very burgeoning reputation. It's evolving. Reputation isn't solid yet. I understand.
Quote unquote reputation.
Yes, that's right.
I know.
If you have like the article link,
I'll
send it over later. I'll take a look at it for sure.
Hey man, I think we should close it out sometime soon. I don't want people to be. It's already an hour and a half in, give or take.
Has it really? Oh man,
yeah, dude. Or well, let me see. Live recorded for about an hour.
Okay, right. I got you. So I mean, I think this one you wanted it to be a little shorter, so I think this is probably a good point to wrap it up.
Yeah, man. Well, is there anything you want to say? So I think next week what we're gonna do is, I think everybody's learned a little bit more about us and our approach on things and how great of a person Don is. Yeah. We're gonna hit them with another intro track, I guess. And I think something we could do to get listeners involved is let us know what they think about the intro track that I did. Hopefully it came up in the recorded version. Let us know what you think, how it could be made better. I don't know if it could be made better. I mean, I'm the one that made the lyrics for it, so I'm just, let us know at least. We'll listen. I think that means you got it next week then, right, eh?
Yeah, I think since you guided the last two, including this one, it's only right that I set something up for next time. Pick the topics and whatnot. So yeah, I will start it off. Start off with a bang for Wednesday for sure.
Sweet. So that I
All
think
right.
concludes our episode 1.5. Maybe we'll keep doing 0.5s during this coronavirus thing, just so that they could get to know us a little bit more, and then hopefully by then the coronavirus will be under control and they'll know everything about us.
Maybe here's an idea. I think to make it kind of more fun and maybe more relaxed for us too, Wednesday can be like the main show.
Sure.
Right. And those will be like the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, and we will do more prep. I will do more prep for the I think for the Saturday or whatever the second, the 0.5 episode is, we'll keep it very flexible. We'll keep it kind of like open
freestyle,
whatever's on our mind.
Freestyle Saturdays.
Yeah. Freestyle Saturdays. There you go. There you go. So I think that'll be a nice little COVID special for the duration of our work from home season. But all right, I guess this has officially been episode 1.5 for the SoCal DNA, and we will catch you guys on the flippity flip. Until next time, boys and girls, take care. you like my outro there?